Hey folks, this is me, Vishwasnan. I'm the host of this podcast. A lot of times I've realized that, some exams are very challenging and it's also like tiresome to prepare upon. Like, I feel that there's a new need that comes up. Every time when you think of something new in the market, there's something called as and certification which comes up from every place. But CISSP is something that is defining the way in which cybersecurity experts are coming up with. There are different
Yes.
exams like Pentest Plus, and like there are a lot of other exams, but to be very frank with you, CISSP, like trust me, they are one of the exams that you need to really take once in your lifetime to understand what's the complexity that goes behind the network architecture. I think last time when Sir told about PKI certification, PKI certificates, not PKI certification, it was an new topic which nobody ever took about, right? It's something like
Yeah.
he was a person who knew something about it and he had gone deeper into it, and he now had a market created for himself. That's how you do it. So CISSP is one of them, and I think a lot of experts are there. I think best guidance can be given by the person who has cracked that. And thank you so much, Zoheb sir, for being on the show. Means a lot.
Thanks, Vishwas, for having me. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Great. Yes, definitely. So I think we can talk about a little bit of my CISSP journey, why I wanted to do CISSP certification. And of course, I can give some tricks and tips of what kind of preparation material I used. So yeah, definitely we can talk about that.
Sure.
And it's definitely an interesting topic, Vishwas, to have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, like preparation is good. But like the reason behind CISSP, what was your first preparation strategy? Like, first you wanted to take that exam, that's good. But like, what was your main motive behind getting into the CISSP? Because this is an exam which is taken by an cybersecurity expert who is like full stack into it.
Correct.
Like, but why did you choose that?
So yes, so just for the audience, so CISSP is Certified Information Systems Security Professional. So this is kind of a gold standard certification for all those security professionals out there. Uh, Now, when I was planning for CISSP, of course, I also have plans to appear for some of the Microsoft security-related certifications, and I have those certifications already. But then I thought CISSP is something which is industry recognized across the globe. Okay. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to appear for CISSP, as I felt that other than Microsoft, I also need to have a certification which is across the globe recognized from a security professional's perspective. So that was my primary motivation to appear for CISSP. What I also felt is, or you can say this was not my primary motive, but it on back of my mind. One of the reasons was CISSP can give me some better career path as well. So because this is a difficult certification to crack, it also has a lot of importance in the market. Like I felt, I'm going to experience it in the coming few months. I felt this is going to help me in my career development plan as well, and going into the next level. This is something which is going to help me. So that was another motive for me to appear for CISSP.
Yeah, I know. Like you should never stick to or go gaga about only one certification. Like some people are like, we need to just go through Coursera. But once the market of that certifications falls down, what will you do? Like
Definitely.
it's not something like AZ 900 was not being cracked by anybody and everybody is cracking it. It's a requirement for AZ 104. It's a requirement
Correct.
for being a certified security professional from Microsoft. So you need to
Yes.
have that certification for sure. But there are learning paths which are defined for it. So for
Definitely.
CISSP, there's no learning part, by the way. It's not theoretical, by the way. It's not completely theoretical. It has a lot of practical approach given to all the learning that you're doing.
Yep.
So how did you start preparing? Because this is a tough exam that to crack, and no material are so organized, right? So how did you start
Definitely.
preparing for this exam?
So I'll tell you what. So CISSP has 8 domains in total. Okay. So if I have to tell you how I approached it, is first I tried to find out which domains has what kind of weightage. And if I have to tell you a little bit about the domains, so then the first domain is security and risk management, and they are all interrelated. Like what you study in security and risk management, you kind of apply in asset security and then which is the second domain. Then the third domain is security architecture and engineering. Then the fourth is communication and network security, identity and access management, security assessment and testing, security operations, software development security. These are some of the domains. So my first thinking when I saw the portion from ISC Square website is to find out like how relevant it is for me. Okay, like of course I wanted to do CISSP, but you also want to do a self analysis, like how easy or how difficult it is going to be for you. So I felt out of those 8 domains, there were 2 domains which I had core expertise in. Okay, which was a good starting point for me, because I knew that definitely I can score very well in these 2 domains. And of course, I had expertise on some of the other domains, but not from that core perspective. So I knew that, I might have to work hard on some, and then I have to, do it some through the other ways. Now, this is the first part. Okay. To basically you do, or I did at least, I did um, like a motivation for myself. That was the first part. Like I want to do CISSP, because after my engineering, I think I did not put so much effort into studies. Okay, so I felt it's important to be motivated, and it's important to have that clarity, like what you can expect from CISSP, right? It's not like some of the other certification wherein you study for a week and then okay, fine, you have appeared it and then you've cracked it. It's not going to be like that. So trust me guys, if you are appearing for CISSP and you are thinking like, I'll spend a couple of weeks 2 hours a day and appear for the certification, that's not going to happen. So what I did is essentially I did my background personal analysis. I motivated myself that I need to spend that much amount of time into this. um, and then what I did is I started to check what kind of materials I have available for me. Okay, so I found 2 sources which was very good. Okay, both were equally good. I chose one, it just that because it was more convenient for me, but I know a lot of people who have chosen the second source also. This is just my research, and there is no promotion or anything which we are trying to do for any of these courses. But what I did is based on my online research. So this was purely online, and of course I consulted with few colleagues who had different ideas of appearing for CISSP. So when I started it, I found that there's a course on Udemy which is Thor Teaches CISSP. It's a nice course which is about uh, 60 40, I think about 40 45 50 hours of video content which is there in that course. So I studied that course and I found that course. Okay, so this is in during the initial stage wherein I'm still finding. Then in the second phase, I found, sorry, in the same phase, I found there's a guy called Prab Nair. Okay, he's I think somewhere from the south of India. He does these CISSP trainings, which is very good. I saw some videos from him on YouTube, and I loved it. It's just the matter of fact that I could not invest that much amount of time with him because he was taking classes on weekends. It was not possible for me. So I felt maybe for me it is more convenient to be a part of the Udemy course. So then I enrolled for the Udemy course. So of course I studied the entire course. I probably watched the video twice. um, a lot of people take time to study CISSP. So generally, I've seen people take 3 to 4 months, but I did not wanted to spend 3 to 4 months because I'm that kind of person, Vishwas, who loses motivation when things stretch a lot. Okay, so you remember those engineering days, like how you study before exam during the PL. I'm that kind of guy who would study just not just before the exam, but who would prepare, but then I don't want to spend like a lot of time. So I gave myself 4 weeks to study CISSP. I took a week or more than a week off from my office as well, and then I was spending like when I was working I was spending like 4 hours a day approximately in studies. When I was not working, which was weekends, and then I took some days off for preparation, so then I was doing like 6 to 8 hours of studies, okay, per day. And that way I was doing like these videos, and then I was doing a lot of questions. Actually, questions are very crucial. So first, I think I did the 40-50 hour course. I did that in about maybe 2 weeks or 1.5 week. I completed that. And then, of course, I was taking notes and all those things. After I completed that, I appeared for some test exams. Okay. So these are not dumps, by the way. CISSP doesn't have any dumps, but there are test exams or test questions which you can give. I appeared for that. I kind of gauged where my level is. Then I watched the video series of Thor one more time. Now, I intentionally put less attentions on the domains I knew because I had core expertise on it, and I emphasized on the other 6 domains. Actually, I did not complete all the 8 domains. I did prepare only for 7 domains. One domain I left. I think again some habit from engineering wherein you leave one of the subjects, units or whatever. So that's what I did, and it worked all right for me. So I did 7 domains. I studied those 7 domains very well, and before the exam I kind of just went through the last domain. And then during, I think, the second or third week, while I was doing like 4 to 8 hours kind of preparation, I put a lot of efforts. I started putting a lot of efforts on questions. Okay. So I purchased some questionnaires from Udemy and some of the other sources. And I appeared for like, I think about 3,000 questions. Okay. And the way I was appearing, yeah, that's the interesting part, Vishwas, because you have to do a lot of practice. Because when you study the theory and when you see the questions, they're a little bit different. So you need to be able to imagine what these are. So when I was appearing for these questions, I think I spent like a, a lot of time on questions. So whenever I was appearing for questions, I was like reviewing that, what is the answer? Okay. And what are the different options? And then I was kind of revising that subject, which is asked in the question. Okay. So it was like, I have done the video series twice. And then while I'm doing questions, I'm not only just finding the right answer, but I'm also checking on that topic, because maybe in exam the same question might be asked in a different way and that might have a different answer. So it was like I was thoroughly studying each and every question. If I knew the topic well, then of course I was not studying, but if I didn't knew or if I was confused, then I would study that topic very well. So yeah, that's what I was doing. So that was like four weeks. And what happened is I realized I'm short of time. I think I could not do it in 4 weeks. So I ended up rescheduling it and pushed it by 2 weeks. So I got like additional 2 weeks. I think it worked well for me because I was in the mindset that I have to appear it like next week, Thursday. And then I decide on a Monday that, you know what, I need to push it because I feel I'm not ready. So I felt like I was putting in the effort to be appear for the exam, which was a lot. And then I just rescheduled it. So it kind of gave me some additional time to study more. So yeah, so in general, I took about 6 weeks and then I continued with papers, watched some videos. During my last week, I watched some YouTube videos from Prab Nair, and then I did see some random videos also. Uh, One of the techniques which I found which was very helpful for me was the theory of elimination. Okay, this really worked well for me because I felt out of the questions which I had, and I'll tell you how many questions are there when we get to the exam part. The theory of elimination works in such a way that if you get a question, you try to imagine that question, and before answering that question, you first eliminate what is wrong. Okay, so for example, if there are 4 options, you know for sure that 2 options are wrong. It makes your life easier, and then you only think about these two and you concentrate on those 2 responses. And if you're confused, then you go with your logic and gut feeling, like which one is closest. um, so yeah, that was the theory of elimination, which I found it is useful. Now, of course, this doesn't work for all questions. Okay, it would work for like maybe 30%, 40% of the question. That would work well. But for the other questions, I think you need to know, of course, which is based on your study. So as I said, this was the last week. So I was watching kind of summary videos, and Prab Nair has done a great job in his YouTube videos. So that really helped me in concentrating on what I need to study during the last week. And then I was doing just papers on the last week, and was watching some summary videos and going through the notes. So I took it like, I think the last 8 days I said I'll do one domain each day. That's how I was doing. So I was studying the notes, I was watching some summary videos, and then I was doing practice question for domain one. Second day, and something like this I did for the last 8 days. And before the exam, I had taken some notes. I knew things which I don't remember very well. Okay, like network was a weak point for me. So I knew before exam I need to study network, like the OSI model, which protocol lives in which layer. That's not something which I have expertise on. So I knew this is my weak area. So I kind of tried to keep it fresh in my mind while I was appearing for exam. So that was something which I did a lot just a day before the exam. And then I finally appeared for exam. I think there were about 175 questions. So CISSP works in a CAT model. So CAT model is such that if you a computer adaptive test. So it is such that if you give all the correct answers, then it increases the difficulty level of your questions. So let's assume in 125 questions, you did 80% correct. It will end the paper there. Okay. But and you can gauge it if the question difficulty of the questions keeps increasing. Okay, so you can feel that probably you're entering the right one. And the other problem is you can't go back. If you've answered a question, you can't go back. So that was another challenge. But anyways, so I appeared for so the total question is 175, and I think about 70 is passing of that question, and you get like 4 hours to appear for those questions. I did a simple mathematics, which was what I did is like 175 questions divided by 240 minutes. What do I have? And then I was checking like every 30 minutes, or yeah, 30 to 45 minutes. I was just doing the calculation again, like where I am and where I need to be. I was always like 15 minutes ahead of the time. Now, when it comes to questions, there are certain questions which is very one-liner, like simple one-liner. You read it and then you answer it. It's as simple as that. But then there are certain questions which is like an essay, which is like 2 paragraphs. So what happens is if you read the first, by the time you reach second, you forget what you read on the first. So it's important for you to write notes, and that's what I was doing. I was trying to draw the scenario. I was trying to write notes of what I will forget, which really helped. So then I don't have to, I think I did repeat it. Sometimes you have to repeat to understand the question better. And a lot of these questions are pure English. Like, it's like they're asking you something, but then the option is something else. The option looks very close, but then you need to read it in English. Like, what is the ask? The ask is, this is I need to do, and then they have something else defined below, which looks like an answer, but it is not the answer because they asked for something different, and then there's a twist. So it's like an English test also, I felt. But yeah, so that was the so I did a lot of drawing during exams, calculations of time. And yeah, I think I spent like 3 hours or a little more than 3 hours to finish my exam, and it it worked quite well. So yeah, that's what I did. Yeah, I don't know if there's any question. If else, I'll tell
Yeah, in
you
terms of
like
the
what are.
tooling, yeah, you can say about that. But I wanted to ask you regarding the tools that are required, the way in which we are also supposed to have a prior hands-on experience before attempting anything. Like you will be asked questions regarding exif files. You will be asked questions regarding a lot of security
Mhm.
patterns and everything. So I just wanted to ask about that. But you can continue about that as well.
Sure, sure. No, yeah, that's a good question which you're raising. So, CISSP is more of it's a technical exam, but it's more designed for technical managers, technical leaders, security practitioners. So you don't need to, when you are appearing for CISSP, don't think like a engineer, okay? Because it's more of a strategy, okay? It's technical exam, but it's more strategic. It's like how an organization security posture should be, what kind of tools you will use. It's not going to tell you that, what, this is the problem in the network, what kind of logs you will analyze. No, it's going to tell you like, this is the problem in the network, what kind of SOC are you going to implement, somewhere along those lines. So what I felt is those CISSP you can get an associate level certification if you do not have experience. Okay, and you need to have the eligibility is you need to have 5 years of experience into any of the two domains of CISSP to be eligible for CISSP certification. When I was studying for the exam, I felt it was very important for me to have that. Okay, and I had that luckily a couple of domains strong experience, and then I had one of the domains with little bit of experience. But I felt it was very crucial for me to be able to pass the exam and to be able to imagine what is coming my way. So that was crucial. uh, from the questions perspective, all are technical questions, but as I said, these are more from a strategic perspective. um, if you compare it with the AZ104 or AZ305, these are more technical questions. So there's a specific question and then there's a specific answer. Uh, in CISSP, all the answers look similar. Okay, but then there's a twist, and then you need to find which one is closest. So yeah, I think that's what I felt. Don't go if you're appearing for CISSP. My advice is don't go with the engineer mindset. Okay, think about it from a like you're a CISO or you're going to build strategy for security for your organization. That's the kind of level this exam goes into. Okay, so like my immediate thing is like if there's a problem in the network, you need to deploy something. I will go in the deployment mode immediately, but that's not what you need to be in when you're appearing for CISSP. You need to think from a more strategic perspective. Like, if you need to deploy something, what is the first thing you're going to do? First thing is I will plan, okay, or maybe I'll gain approvals, or I will scope, based on the options which you have. So these are the things which you need to think about and not just dive deep technically. So don't think like an engineer, basically, when you're appearing for CISSP level examinations.
Sure, that's the thing. So you're talking about the final part of that exam, right? You were talking in
Right.
terms of like what should be your strategy when once you're not attained that level of that expertise
Yeah.
required for that 80% or something as a question to be passed or something. So what was your strategy when you were calculating? What were you actually gauging upon? Like, did you know that these were the right questions, or what was your strategy all about when you were calculating that part?
Yeah. Yeah, good question again. So yes, actually I knew a lot of questions I was answering, okay, because I was confident on what I've studied. And that was the good part about my studies. I think the Thor course was very good. It contained like a lot of information which the course contained that came in the exam. I would say about 50 to 55% questions, I was like 100%. I'm correct. Right? As soon as you read the question, you get a feeling like, yes, I know this. So that's the feeling I had. For about 50%, or maybe a little bit more than 50, I knew the answers for 50% questions straight off the bat, and I could answer it very fast. So you can imagine out of the 175 question, 50% question, I could answer it immediately because I had studied and then I knew, and those were like very clear for me because I knew this is something which I can give. Luckily, identity and access management, cryptography, they have a very big percentage. I think about 30% of that. So which is my strong area. And then I felt these 30%, I should have got maximum right. And then maybe some of the other domains, I would have gone good percentage as well. So 50% questions, 50 to 55%, I was sure. Uh, of course, the remaining 45 to 50% was the problem, and I had to achieve like 20% out of that to be able to pass. Now, of course, you want to excel, but if you think about from what the strategy is, so my strategy was to not spend time on the questions which I know very well. Okay, there were questions wherein I spent like 5 minutes, which was very scenario driven and which I was not very strong on, like network. So I was drawing the scenario, like, this is the internal network, this is the external network. And then I was drawing the options also. So I spent like on few questions, like 5 minutes also. Like, okay, this is how the traffic needs to flow. Okay, is this the right tool? No, the tool needs to be inside because the problem is in the inside. So then that's basis on that I was trying to answer. So yeah, that was my strategy for the remaining 45% question was the theory of elimination, drawings, marking the keywords on the question, That was my strategy. You won't believe, Vishwas, I kind of so I got 3 sheets from the test center. I exhausted the 3 sheets, and then I had to take another 3 sheets because I was writing so many notes and drawing of course I was drawing very big because this was the thick marker, and then you could not, you have, like, if I was doing one scenario, it was almost taking half of the page. But yeah, I felt this is important for the questions which you're not confident on, to try and create as much logic, eliminate the wrong answer, and then work towards, from the good answers which you feel, which do you think is the closest, which could be the answer.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because you need to strategize. It's like you know for sure that you are an MBA,
Yeah.
and you still took a different path from what others would have taken with MBA, right? You
Yeah.
didn't stick to the MBA degree. You still were able to go ahead and explore a lot beyond the MBA. So my
Okay.
question was always towards, like, how do you think are we architecting towards the well-architected framework and the security postulates today? Like, how are we effective in that note in the present day's practice? So what do you feel about the present day's practice? Is it good enough to attain an ideal security posture that we are actually looking towards, or else what should be the change that we need to have in order to attain a kind of an ideal security posture that we really want in an organization? Because yesterday I was talking about zero trust with Tarun Marba. Like, he didn't know
Mhm.
about that topic, but we made sure that all his experience in the organization comes in, ramps up together, and he shares
Yeah,
some insights about it. So I wanted to know,
sure.
like, how are organization supposed to strategize today in order to build the best security posture, because there are well architected frameworks, a lot of things coming up. So how should we
Mm.
architect towards that perspective?
Yes. So I'll tell you one key principle, okay? And this zero trust and all well architected framework, all these things would come around it. The concept of security is, you assume something is going to go bad. Okay, so you assume breach. It's an important word to, it's not a word, it's a mindset. So security people need to have a mindset for assume breach. Okay, now I'll give you an example. Okay, imagine you're like, which is the most famous street in Bangalore, which is like the most happening street in Bangalore?
SP road or SP
SP
road.
Road. Okay,
Yeah.
let's take an example of SP Road. Okay, so you're walking down SP Road. Okay, and then you need to cross SP Road. Okay, so there can be a couple of ways to cross the SP Road. Okay, so one way is to just cross. Okay, the second way would be to go to the traffic signal, wait for the light to come up, for the walking light to come up. Okay, which is when the cars or now there are two type of people. One is, those, have you seen that ad wherein there's a foreigner who's trying to cross a road in Mumbai,
Yeah, yeah.
and then, so this is the principle of assume breach. So there can be a person who wants to take that risk. Okay, and then there can be a person who who assumes something can go wrong, and because he assumes something can go wrong, he's going to take that extra step. Okay, he's going to take that extra step and be very careful, and then cross the road. In this principle which I'm talking about, assume breach is a principle wherein you assume something can go wrong, and then you kind of try to rectify the problem by you know by crossing the road appropriately, implementing right security measures. So essentially you're always cautious that something can go wrong, and that's what you're trying to avoid. When it comes to the security world, the most important principle or the most important idea is to assume something can go wrong. Okay, when you assume something can go wrong, you can essentially work towards in fixing that problem. When you do not assume that something can go wrong, then essentially you can, of course, so a car might hit you, or you might end up in an accident. So that is something which can definitely happen. So I was just explaining about the assume breach. So what I was saying is, when you're crossing the road, there are two ways to cross, either through the signal or directly. If you assume something can go wrong, you would take the right path. If you do not assume and you close your eyes and cross the road, there's a high probability that you might meet with an accident. So security is a mindset. It's a mindset to assume something can go wrong and you assume breach. So this is the mindset which we need to develop. And this mindset not only needs to be developed by the security practitioners or the security CISOs or whatever. This is a mindset which needs to happen across the org, that something can go wrong, especially from an IT or security practitioner's perspective. You assume something can go wrong and then you try to correct yourself. Okay, you try to fix that problem, because only when you know or only when you assume something can be a problem, you'll fix it. Coming back to the first question which you have, like what could be the ideal state for security? Honestly, things evolve. Okay, so the well architected framework which you're seeing right now, or the threat modeling frameworks which we have, this is something which keeps evolving. We keeps getting new products, like there's Azure Bastion which can help you, you don't have to RDP, you can do it through a different way. So the idea is, you are not stuck, you can't be stuck in today's world with one thing, and there's no ideal state. Like I remember, probably before this cloud era, like 2000, pre 2013 15, uh, the way of architecture and everything was same, and things would be in a same way for years and nothing would change. Okay, of course there were fixes and everything which were coming, but I'm talking from an overall perspective. Now you just go and check how many improvements Azure security products get every week. There's something new product being released every week. So there are new ways of detection which is being implemented. There are new ways to protect which is being implemented through various Microsoft Defender suite, and I'm sure through some of the other vendors also. So yeah, things have changed and things keep evolving now. You can be in a good state with some of our well architected frameworks, because the way the well architected frameworks are built, it is built on certain principles which gives you like a comfort, like what I'm doing is fine, and as of today I'm not committing any mistakes which are like known issues or whatever. So at least these WAFs or CAFs, which we call well architected framework, cloud adoption framework, they kind of prevent you from known ways to attack today. But of course these attacks keep evolving, so does the frameworks, and then as an organization you need to have ability to continue to evolve and adapt towards these changes which is coming.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because Metasploit has everything. You can really
Yeah.
have good amount of modules are already built in. The open source tools are there. There are
Yes.
enterprise tools as well. So there's no point in saying I will go behind this tool, I'll go behind that tool. It's all about that security practices that you're getting in your organization. You should not allow any
Definitely.
of the secrets to go out of your organization. Like Samsung had like 6,000 plus secrets out in the like public.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was like,
correct.
what is this? GitKraken is giving out so many reports, and I think there are a lot of reports. Akamai State of the Internet report, State of the DevOps report. There are DevSecOps
Yep.
reports coming up. Like, just go read as much as white paper as you can, as much as uh, podcast that like we do, right? Just go
Yep.
ahead, then just see them. Because a lot of times it's that experience that they carry in the industry with respect to a different scenario that comes in hand. It's not about that probable learning that is just going to happen. Like, I know a person who is CCNA certified but can't say a 9-bit byte header of a little packet or anything. Like, we know
Yeah.
that, because as long as you don't have that hands-on and the industrial real-time experience, probably that
Yep.
certification has no value at that point.
Definitely.
That's how it is. I think Zoheb sir, every time he comes and says, I wantedly ask this question, because he gives such examples that anybody can understand. I was just teaching some DevOps concept to some people, and I remember some of his concepts, and I started saying that, oh, what he had told this in that podcast, and I'm explaining you based on that. And it's truly fascinating that a person who just took another way out from everything that he had, like he had a great MBA, by the way. He could have just lived with his MBA degree, that MBA tag, but like he went beyond. And I think disrupting something or doing something in a security world is something huge. And I think thank you so much, Zoheb sir. You shared a lot of insights over CISSP. Man, that's so awesome.
No problem, no problem, Vishwas. And I'm glad we could meet. And I think it's a definitely interesting topic and a great thing which you are doing. So continue to run with these podcasts. I think it's great. I do follow some of the podcasts through LinkedIn or YouTube which you share. So yeah, very very well done, and I hope you continue making such good videos on such topics.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.